Welcome back to Steel City Live here on Mike Drop Sports, your favorite live stream here on YouTube. We are a couple minutes early, but I was here at the desk in front of the camera, and I said to myself, yeah, I'm done sitting. So I decided just to hit the live button, and here we are, man. Thank you for joining us back for another exciting week here. And let's go for that 5,000 mark. We're almost there, man. We're almost there. So let's hit that 5,000 mark. That's going to take you sharing, liking, and doing all those good things to get us out there into that YouTube algorithm and send us out there for everybody to come and join the conversation each and every day. The real conversation, man. And I believe this to be one of the better communities. So make sure you tell a friend, man. Phone a friend, tell a friend to get them here at Mike Drop Sports, sharing with us each and every day. Miss Pittsburgh, what's up? Mike Miller, what's up? Zach Curry, what is up? That's all right, man. We always enjoy having you, Sometimes we all got shit to do, though. What's up, Tom? Good to see you guys in the chat early. Again, make sure you're hitting that like button, hitting that share button. Easily just that share button, man. Sharing it out there might get somebody to say, hey, I'm into watching and I want to join the conversation. Steelers Nation is all across the world. So definitely we've had a lot of people from many different countries and many different states and tons of different places. So it's always good to just hit that share button. You never know who's going to join us and have some conversation that we haven't heard. Maybe some things that we haven't talked about, bring something up that's really important. But today, I want to talk about some real options, some real possibilities for the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21. I don't really want to talk quarterback talk because I really don't think any of them that are going to be available need to be taken at pick 21, to be quite frank with you. So I feel like you can make it happen later in the draft. And I think that should be the Steelers' plan, regardless of a veteran quarterback that we've all been sitting here watching and waiting for, or Mason Rudolph being under the helm. So, again, I don't think that's going to be the case in round one. I think we need to talk about realistic options at quarterback, or not quarterback, sorry, for the Steelers in round one. And maybe potentially, with the talk all offseason, a lot of people have said defensive line. And I've been thinking about that, and I said to myself, why not take a good defensive line that wasn't bad, challenged schematically, because the schematics were very plain and vanilla, but yet were still pretty damn good. They weren't bad, man. They were a team, that had trouble on third down. Third down was a little bit of a trouble area. They were 39.5%. That was like 15, I believe 15th overall inside of the NFL on third down. So that was a little bit of an issue. They gave up 47 points allowed in there. I wrote some of this stuff down. They gave up usually about 192 passing yards per game, 127. Sorry, that was their offensive stats. I didn't want to read those, sorry. But I did write some of these down, and I wanted to bring them up. They allowed 17 completions on passes over 20 yards plus through the air. Their pressure rate was 42.7%. They were fifth in run stops also. But they were able, late in the season, some of those stats took a heavy hit. So definitely just some stats that the Pittsburgh Steelers had out there defensively along that defensive front that might make a difference. That pass rate in terms of passes 20 yards down the field, you're typically getting pressure. You're not allowing quarterbacks to really have a lot of time. So, 17 completions on those 20 passes isn't really that great. So it is what it is. But again, I just wanted to bring some of those up. What's up, Derpy? I think we should trade back. We're going to talk about that trade back and what you typically get. What you typically get in terms of compensation in return. We're going to talk about that, Derp. Kenneth Grant would be somebody. We're going to talk about him. What's up, Duck Plucker? 6th, 7th round. Brady Cook, be another Mason if he doesn't work out. you can get fine guys of value late in the draft, guys. So, just because a guy is drafted in the top 10 doesn't mean that they're going to work out. Just because a guy's drafted in the 7th round doesn't mean that they're not going to work out. We've seen this just with the Steelers, and you've seen it throughout the NFL overall. Sorry, guys, I'm going to turn up this one light back here. It kept flickering a little bit. If it flickers, I'm going to end up shutting it off because I don't want to have it flickering for you guys the whole show. Best defensive player could be available. Yeah, I mean, that could be something. There's going to be some cornerbacks that could be there. Guys like Maxwell Hairston, maybe. He's a cornerback that I think, really moves well. A real fluid mover. So that's a guy that you could watch that could potentially still be there at 21. He's a comfortable guy in zone, man, coverage, both. He plays real tough, So he's a guy that could be there. A lot of people, I think, have him, ranked 3rd overall in the cornerback department. So that could be something that you pick up there. But I think Walter Nolan is a real possibility of being there. Now, Kenneth Grant scares me in terms of really putting all your eggs into that basket because there's a real possibility that he goes somewhere. I would say maybe probably, if I were to guess where Kenneth Grant probably goes, it's probably right outside of the top 10. I'm guessing somewhere like Miami. They've been projected to get him. So, I think Kenneth Grant is a guy that could definitely potentially be there. But I think if we're talking reality, I think we're talking Walter Nolan, a guy that's, a 6'4", 300-pound guy, real quick hands, super strong. He sheds blocks really, really well, and he's good against the double team, which is something the Steelers, when you look at what the Steelers do, and they play that 3-4 defensive front, you look at what they do defensively, you have to have a guy that is really good at getting off double teams. That has to be something they do really, really well. So when you're evaluating defensive linemen on your own and you're trying to come up with mock drafts and potential targets for the Steelers, I got to shut this light out. Potential targets along that defensive front, you always want to look for guys that can shed the double team really, really well, guys, because the Steelers play that 3-4 defensive front. So it has to be something that they definitely look for inside of a player along that defensive front. It has to be something they do really well. But you look at Kenneth Grant, he's a guy that is somebody that has those Cam Hayward traits, getting his hands up inside of the passing lanes, not allowing easy dink and dunk passes because he's trying to get them big paws up there. He's trying to block those passes. He has a real knack for that, and you see Cam Hayward do that a lot, and that is something that coming into the league, if you already do well, and then you're coming with a guy like Cam for maybe a year or two to mentor you a little bit, that you can learn from and really watch and absorb what he does in terms of preparing to be good at those things. I think if it's a skill set that you already have, man, you could really make that an elite skill set by the time, Cam is out of that building. So that's definitely something that could really be beneficial for the Steelers in terms of a guy like Kenneth Grant out of Michigan. I think he's slotted, though, more inside of the top 15. I would say that he's probably going to be inside of that top 15 if I were to guess. Yeah. So, it is what it is. Let me answer my son real quick, guys. Aiden, I don't care. Sorry, guys, he was texting me, and I didn't want to have to get off of the camera and text him back and all that stuff. But that is something that you're looking for, that pass trait, that pass block trait. And a guy, again, that has a really quick guy's first step. And that means a lot also in that 3-4 defense. You want a guy that's going to be quick in his first step, shooting those gaps. So let's talk about some of the traits you're really, really looking for inside of a defensive lineman if you're the Steelers. The pass blocking is a bonus, definitely. A guy that's mentally aware during those reps to be able to get his hands up. That comes with being smart, a smart player. But when you're talking about, the basics, what you're looking for in terms of the basics from a defensive lineman, you're looking for that fast first step. You want a guy that's real strong that can shed double teams. That's what you're looking for. because that defensive front for the Steelers is a little bit more limited in terms of numbers. So you say to yourself, I need a guy that can get to the gap quickly, that's going to shoot the gap quickly, but be able to be strong enough, quick enough with his hands that he's going to be able to shed those double team blocks. Because typically what happens, when you crash the gap, I mean, common sense tells you 9 times out of 10, when there's limited numbers along the defensive front, the guard's going to crash down on you along with the center. Or you crash out toward the guard in the tackle gap, you're going to get maybe the tackle and the guard. You're going to get a couple guys on you, whatever. It's just common sense tells you limited numbers. You got to have a guy that has that quick first step that can get into those gaps, that can get off of those double team blocks, because you're going to see a lot of them. And that is something very, very important. And that's stuff like a guy like Casey Hampton used to do years ago, guys. He was very strong, big in terms of his width. He was a monster guy. But what did he do well? He was really quick for his size, great athlete for his size. And he filled those gaps with a quick first step, and he was able to shed double teams. That's what you're looking for. And if you're the Steelers, you got to think of your concept. You got to think of your scheme and ask yourself what fits best. What type of guy fits best? It may not be the guy that's ranked number 1 overall. That might be a 4-3 type guy. When you're running this 3-4 defense, you got to look at what fits best for you schematically. So, again, I think there could be the chance for a Kenneth Grant. Slim to none, but it's there. It's still a chance. I think the more realistic target is going to be Walter Nolan. And I don't think Walter Nolan is a bad idea, guys. Because, again, you look at this Steelers defensive front from 2024, they weren't horrible. They weren't bad. They were actually pretty good in terms of statistical categories. Did they have their moments of sheer failure? Absolutely they did. But statistically, they were pretty damn good. Well, when you look at the numbers of the Pittsburgh Steelers defensive front. Now, when you're talking defensive front for the Steelers, you're also including guys like T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith. It's not just all down linemen. So, you could break it down a little bit further and talk about, the combinations of Benton and Hayward, or Larry O and Hayward or Benton. Couple any of those combinations together and look at those statistics in particular. But I think as a whole, as a defensive front as a whole, and not getting too far into it, I think the Steelers were good. And I think drafting somebody inside of the first round that makes you better, possibly making you elite now in that defensive front, is a really good thing, because you saw what an elite defensive front did for a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, guys. Just for instance, a team that you all saw play on the biggest stage. And what did that defensive front do? It absolutely dominated. It pushed that offensive front back into the face of Patrick Mahomes. It caused him to be uncomfortable. It limited run opportunities inside the tackles. It limited run opportunities on the edges also, because of the way they were able to flow to the football, the way they were able to play heads up football along that defensive front for the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's something you got to really look at, guys. And I know a lot of people want the sexy picks, the wide receivers, the running backs, the quarterbacks. I understand that. But without securing these trenches and making them absolutely elite, you don't go forward. It doesn't matter what you have. So, again, defensive front for the Steelers is probably the reality of which we live right now as a Steelers fan, guys. And I'm going to say this. Quarterback, I'm gonna go out on a limb. We're about 20 days from the draft right now. And I'm going to tell you this. I don't care who is on the board at 21 at the quarterback position. I do not think that the Pittsburgh Steelers draft a quarterback, period, in the first round. I'm not eliminating it later, because I think they will do that later. But I am totally wiping that out of my thought process, because I don't think that Omar Khan and Andy Weidel want to go that direction. I don't believe that to be true. I think defensive line is their way to go. Now, maybe there's a special cornerback there. Maybe a special wide receiver. Maybe, but I'm going to limit those to about 5 to 10% chances for them to pick one of those two position groupings. I think it's going to be defensive line, and I think it's going to be defensive line pretty much as a slam dunk. I'm going to say it's 75% chance that the Pittsburgh Steelers draft a defensive front guy inside of the first round of the 2025 NFL draft. Now, we're going to get into what you could do if you trade back. We're going to talk about that. Let me catch up in the chat a little bit here with you guys. We did Derpy, we did Duck, Amarion Hampton, Kevin Grant, playmakers, stock up on playmakers so average quarterback can look great. I don't think Mason's average. I think he's slightly above average, to be honest. So I see what you're saying, though, Za. You want playmakers. But, guys, I just don't think that that's the path the Steelers take. Again, we all want that. But do you go out there and you risk everything for Amarion Hampton? I don't think that that's the way to go. I think it would be wonderful to have Amarion Hampton. It'd be wonderful to have Ashton Jeanty. But Ashton Jeanty, in my eyes, won't make it past the Broncos at 20. If Ashton Jeanty's sliding down that draft board and he is available at 20, the Broncos are taking him at 20, guys. They're not going to allow him to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21 because the Broncos could use Ashton Jeanty in a big way. So definitely that's something Sean Payton ain't going to let go to the Steelers without a doubt. Ashton Jeanty won't make it to the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21. So there's Amarion Hampton there. I don't think Amarion Hampton's going to be the way the Steelers go because I think they realize that there is going to be a hole, a gaping hole, if anything happens to Cam Hayward. Because why, guys? He's aging. And if you don't get a star in the making, possibly in the making in this draft class with the defensive line, I think it's a big mistake because you're going to end up having a big lapse there. Cam's not going to be able to play forever, and you already got Keanu Benton, so you need to get a third guy in there, a real young stud inside of that room, and I think this is the opportunity that you do that. Because, again, you look at the past Super Bowl champions and you look at some of the things their teams do really well, and that is attack up front along that defensive line. Best, we did that. Ryan Buckley, Steelers, let's go. Robert Road in the house. I've heard that Nolan had off-field troubles, but I never heard what they are. I didn't hear that, Robert, so I can't comment on it. I really, truly don't know. If you've heard it, I trust you because you look into all this stuff pretty in-depthly, but I've never heard it, so I really can't comment on that. Big Thomas Breeze in the house. What's up, man? Is batted passes an actual stat? If so, Cam has to be near top all time. It's probably some sort of stat. I've never really looked it up, but Cam Hayward is exceptional at it. And again, Kenneth Grant can do it pretty well already. So why not, couple him with a guy like Cam Hayward if possible and let him tutor him and say, buddy, this is how I practice this, and make somebody that's already good at something elite at something and not miss a step. Because again, guys, if anything happens to Cam Hayward, you're kind of asked out right now. You're going to have a bunch of journeymen. They brought in a lot of guys in free agency and this offseason in terms of no-name type guys along that defensive front. You're going to have those guys, spot fillers all over the place, but you want to have that elite talent that you can start to sprinkle in there because, man, Benton's had injuries already in his career. Cam's had injuries, and he's not getting any younger. And if you're the Steelers, it doesn't make sense to go in any other direction because you cannot afford to jeopardize not having quality players along the defensive front. You're asking for real trouble. We all sit here and talk about cornerbacks and the Steelers' pass coverage and things of that nature. Guys, do we think for 1 minute that if you take a heavy hit to where you're losing anybody at all along that current defensive front, what do you think will happen to that pass, the pass defense? It will be not good. I mean, it'll make it worse because this is all part of a machine that works together. Again, guys, I remind you, football, the ultimate team game. And if you're not working in all of your positions, at least in a serviceable manner, you're not going to do well. You're not going to perform well. And then you got to do what, guys? Cover up deficiencies. And what does that do? It puts you out of position. It causes chaos inside of your defense. And schematically, it really challenges you. And we have all learned schematics isn't the Steelers' strong suit in terms of complexity, and that is an issue. So we all have to take that into account as we look at this football team heading into a draft that is about 20 days away or so. Correct me if I'm wrong. Miss Pittsburgh waving that terrible towel. Get that for Miss Pittsburgh, guys. Make sure you're smashing that like button here on Steel City Live, only here on Mike Drop Sports. Don't forget, get yourself that Mafia membership. Get yourself a chance. Get yourself a chance to get that signed TJ Watt Authentic Game jersey. That could be yours for 99 cents a month. Always will be 99 cents a month. Super chats are always open, guys. And again, if you can't do something monetarily to support the channel, hitting that like button helps out so very much, and it's greatly appreciated by me. So definitely do that, and we appreciate it. Mark Malone in the house. Yeah, we're a four-man front. It's Hayward, Benton at defensive tackle, Watt, Highsmith at defensive end. If we get one more beast at defensive tackle to rotate, it could be worth it. Yeah, and again, you listed what Mark said there in that comment, similar to what some of the others have said. But Mark says, look at the names he listed. That's where kind of the line's drawn in the sand. And that's where I start to worry about any type of injury. And guys, we are in a very injury-driven league. So you've got to prepare for that. And what did we talk about all last year? What was the most important thing for you as a franchise? And what is the most important thing for any franchise, not just the Steelers? That is depth and how you are able to control that roster through tough times when key players get injured. How are you able to cover those things up? How are you able to fill those holes that are left by key important positions that are lost due to injury, no matter how minor or big they are? You really have to pay attention to that. And that is something as a general manager, you have to constantly have in your head, man. Depth, depth, depth. And just because you have a position group filled by somebody, that doesn't mean you don't take a player that is definitely really, really good that could fill in behind, because you can never have too many good people at any position on this team. Let's keep going. We did miss Pittsburgh, waving that terrible towel. What's up, JD in the house? Good to see JD. Mark Malone, he's got to be a beast. Yeah, you need a beast. You need a guy that can, again, shoot the gap quickly. They have to have a great first step, guys. That is so important. Great first step and a guy that can shed the double team. Those are the two important traits that you're looking for the Steelers' 3-4 defensive scheme. That is what you got to take into consideration probably more than anything. Looking at that first step and how they handle double teams, because you're going to see a lot of them, and you have to have a good first step, and you need some quick hands on top of it. Doug P says, if they go D-line, I want that Casey Hampton guy who takes 2 or 3 O-linemen to move him. I'm not sure which one you're referring to, man. I think it'd be... I think the best two that you could get if you're the Steelers are Nolan and Grant. I think that those two guys are the top guys there in terms of what they are going to have realistically available to them. Graham is up in the draft. He'll be gone, I believe, inside of the top 10. So there are other options, but realistically, these two guys have a chance of being there at 21 for your Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, guys, again, make sure you're hitting that like button. We need to get those likes up. Double tap that screen. It's absolutely free. And if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. This is going to be an exciting week here on the channel, so continue to dive in. I'm going to double confirm, but we should have Big B from Steelers Almighty on Thursday. Wednesday or Thursday, but I'll double check that. I'll email him again. We're going to talk draft, and I'm going to get him to give you guys a little bit of perspective on that. On what he believes the Steelers are going to take, and I'm also going to throw some questions out there and have some dialogue between us of what could possibly happen inside of this draft. But tonight we're focusing on round 1 and really what is realistic options for the Steelers and what makes sense for them in a realistic way. Daniel Warman in the house. Jason, is there a chance they trade TJ Watt, or is this clickbait? I don't see TJ Watt being traded, guys. Good to see you, Daniel. I don't think so. That's just me. I'm assuming it's clickbait. Never say never in the NFL, though. Tom Ford, what's up, man? Tom says, where were you, Tom? Yeah, they might deal GP. That's a possibility. Robert says Genty could go to the Raiders, Bears, Cowboys, etc. Hampton will likely go to one of the teams I just mentioned as soon as Genty is off the board. If Hampton is there at 21, he is likely a Steeler. I don't know, man. I don't think Hampton will be off the board. I think Hampton will be available, but that's just me. Maybe not at 21. But I think Genty gets gobbled up by the Broncos at 20 at the very latest. So you're right. It could be earlier. It could be a Raiders, a Bears, a Cowboys, etc. No doubt about it. But if I'm the Steelers, I don't know if I make that mistake, man. Again, guys, you got to look at this from what is currently on this roster. And are you comfortable if there's an injury to Keanu Benton or Cameron Hayward in 2025? Are you comfortable with this roster currently as it's constructed? Or are you willing to roll that dice? It's such an important position grouping. Or are you really willing to do that? And I don't think Omar Khan's going to say no to that. I think he's going to want to make sure that that's handled. That's just my opinion when I look at it like that, you know? Yeah, no doubt. I would too, Mark. Tom says the biggest needs are quarterback, running back, and defensive tackle. I don't know if I'd put them in that order. I would probably say quarterback is always a need because that has to always be number one on your list. But no doubt about that. So we'll leave quarterback there. I think defensive tackle is definitely a bigger need than the running back position, guys. And I say this why. You have Jaylen Warren, who's a proven commodity that the Steelers absolutely love, and they know exactly what he can do, and so do you guys. You know what he can do with the football in his hands. He's a guy that can make plays in space. He's a guy with the first quick step and can burst out of the hole really, really well. He's a guy that can hit a home run from anywhere. Yeah, he's fumbled it here and there, but I think that those ball security issues could definitely be handled easily by him. I'm not really worried about that as a major concern. You also went out there and got Kenneth Gainwell. I think he will be a guy that can contribute. Little bit of a phone call there. Sorry about that. But anyway, again, Kenneth Gainwell, I think he can contribute in a big, big way. And I think you can find running backs later in this draft that can come in and contribute. And I think we've seen that over time. Guys, Jaylen Warren was an undrafted free agent rookie. So you can find that. And then we've seen guys like Najee Harris be taken in round one that, didn't pan out. They didn't pay that guy. There's a reason that he is with the Chargers. They didn't offer him. Now, maybe Najee, I think, really wanted to be out there. I think he kind of made that known also, and the Steelers weren't going to really entertain it. But let's be quite honest. The Steelers weren't going to pay him $10 million a year to stay in Pittsburgh. Neither did the Chargers. They didn't pay him that either. Was it close? Yeah, but they didn't pay him double digits either. So, you've seen it done both ways. You've seen them take running backs high. You've seen them take and use undrafted free agent rookies. Willie Parker being one of those undrafted free agent rookies that ended up being tremendous. You've seen them bring in guys via trade, i.e. Jerome Bettis from the Los Angeles Rams at the time. Ended up being a Steelers legend, a Hall of Famer, a Super Bowl champion, a guy that went out on top, that contributed so much to the Steelers community as a franchise and as a community as a whole in what he did in the city of Pittsburgh. So Jerome Bettis, an absolute legend. You've seen that. You've seen guys like Franco Harris be drafted, I believe, by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Correct me if I'm wrong. So you've seen it so many different ways. You've seen Le'Veon Bell. He was drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, look at that. Well, that wasn't in round one. They didn't draft Le'Veon Bell in round one. So, you've seen it done several different ways, and you've seen it work out in several different ways. That's why I always caution everybody not to smash the panic button, not to say that you have to do something at certain spots of the NFL draft, because you don't have to. There are ways out of it. There's so many different ways to maneuver this, guys. So don't limit yourselves to one opportunity, Casey Hampton clogged the middle, freeing up others to do more. I just want that type of player. Hey, man, I agree, man. Robert Rowe, the Broncos are really high on Hampton. I don't think there will be any decision to be made about Hampton or Genty because we are not trading up for a running back. I don't either. I think it would just have to be somebody that's there, Robert, if it's the Steelers. The Broncos, I think, are going to take either or, in my opinion. If Genty or Marion Hampton are there at pick 20 for the Broncos, they're off the board there, guys. I'm just saying it. And if I think it'll go Genty, Hampton, I think that's how it'll go. But I look for both of those runners to either be gone inside of the top 20 or one still possibly be there when the Pittsburgh Steelers take, and the chances would be Amarion Hampton, who I think will be really, really good, guys. Would I be mad about getting Amarion Hampton? Absolutely not. What I would probably be discouraged about is taking him with pick 21 because I think there's other needs of significant importance. And again, we had a decent defensive front with the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2024. They weren't bad, statistically speaking. They were pretty damn decent. So how do you take something that's that's an asset that you believe you have, and turn it into something that's elite, Super Bowl contending type status? That's what you do. You take that position. And again, you recognize the age and the experience of what you have there and really weigh all your options. Mark DeMoss, it's an offensively driven league in 2025. More and more, the rules favor scoring, and old school football is heavily fined these days. We have to adjust to an offense first mentality, in my opinion. I agree with you totally, Mark. This is an offensive driven league. I've said it so many times too. I agree, and that's how the rules are tailored. But the one thing that doesn't change, whether it's an offensively driven league or a defensively driven league, it doesn't change that the trenches have to work, both offensively and defensively. And that never changes, no matter what the rules are, no matter what the NFL is trying to produce. You have to be good along the trenches because that is where it all starts, guys. That's where plays start. That's where plays develop. That is the most important parts of all the whole team. You have to have your trenches secured, guys. And if you don't, it's going to be a long, miserable season full of trials and tribulations and guys like me talking shit about why you're truly deficient. And guys, we have to understand that the Steelers definitely, no matter what, any team in the NFL, you have to handle the trenches no matter if it's an offensive or defensive league. All right, guys, wave those terrible towels. Let's get those things cranking. Don't forget to hit that like button, share the show. We're about 30 minutes into your favorite live stream. That's right here on Steel City Live, only on Mike Drop Sports. I'm your host, Jason, as always, guys. We're going to talk next. I'm going to get a drink. We're going to talk next about what you could possibly get, maybe if you trade back inside of round 1 from pick 21. What kind of compensation could you expect if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers? Let's dive into that. Let me get a drink. I agree, Pittsburgh 412. I agree, man. Oh, we got to take that Najee Harris emoji out of there, Za. I got to update them for 2025. All right, guys. So if you're the Steelers, would trading back be an absolute option? Yes, and I think more this year than ever, in my opinion. I think trading back could get you some of the things that you're looking for. Would it get them back inside of round 2? Probably not, guys. If you look at the value of picks here in 2025 and what each pick is valued at in terms of a return on your investment if you were to get rid of them or possible moves, every pick has a certain value, and that is all driven off of a spreadsheet of some sort. I don't know what exact, you can find them out there on YouTube, but everything is kind of driven in terms of value. But if I'm just looking at it and I'm thinking of value in my head, and I'm talking about what could the Steelers get in return if they were to move back inside of the 2025 draft? Would they still be able to get a guy like a Walter Nolan? I think the answer to that question may be yes. I think if you're the Steelers, you may be able to still get a Walter Nolan if you move back several spots, like 3. I'm not saying giant jumps back because you're already at 21. So maybe you go to 25, 26 after you pick swap in round 1, trading back. What type of compensation can you expect? You're probably going to get either a 3rd or a 4th round pick in that year's draft in 2025. We'll just use 2025 as the example. You're probably going to get a 3rd or a 4th round pick in 2025 and potentially a late round pick. And that's probably at best. That's probably what you're going to get. I don't believe you'll get a 2nd round in conjunction with that pick swap. I don't believe it unless you have a real desperate team, but I don't see it. It's going to be a 3rd or a 4th round pick that you get in return for sliding back. So you'll swap your 1st round picks and get an additional 3rd or 4th round pick. What also could be part of that package, which is typically part of the value that pick 21 really holds here, you'll probably get a late round pick in a future draft. Maybe you get a fourth or a fifth round pick in a future draft like 2027 or 2026 rather. Maybe you get an extra pick. So that's big. And if you're looking like the Steelers and you're looking at all the compensatory picks and things that you got right now, you're really loading up for 2026. So trading back might be super beneficial to you because still, if you do move up in 2026 to go after a quarterback of significance and you have to package significant draft capital together, you're going to fall back on a lot of these traded up pick or these traded picks, these compensatory picks, things of that nature to fill out your draft class, from rounds 3, 4, 5. You're trying to accumulate as many of those types of picks as you can in case you have to trade a first round this year or, whatever you got to trade, a first or second, whatever you got to trade, you're trying to take those compensatory picks and those traded picks that maybe possibly and build them into your draft class. That's how you got to fill it out. So, again, what could you get? Third or fourth round pick in this year's draft, also swapping your first, and then you're probably going to get a later round pick maybe. Maybe there's a veteran player involved. That could also be part of it. And typically you're going to get a mid to late round pick in the next year's draft, a future draft pick. That's typically what you're going to get when you're talking about value for trading back. So I know a lot of people have unrealistic expectations on what you're going to gain in return. I know a lot of people think if you trade George Pickens, you're going to get back into round 2. Guys, DK Metcalf was a second round pick given to the Seattle Seahawks by the Steelers. Let's face the facts. George Pickens is not as good as DK Metcalf right now. Why? Because he hasn't proven it. Is the potential there? Absolutely. He's a freak. But if you're a team and you're going to give up a second round pick, you want to make sure that player is going to be a proven commodity for you. I mean, that's just reality. And has George Pickens done enough in the NFL for another team to consider him proven enough that he's going to be able to keep his head on straight? He's going to be able to understand complex schematics. Can he run every route in the route tree? Is he a guy that's going to cause any type of disruption in our building? Is he worth a second round investment, or should we just go out there and try to find a George Pickens of our own inside of round 2? That's possible. Where was George drafted? I'm just saying, guys, there's a lot of variables at play with this. Tom says, I heard Brees might get traded and the Broncos will definitely be interested, so they won't be getting Hampton. I don't know about that, man. I think the Broncos probably draft a running back. That's just my opinion when I did my mock drafts, like when I went through. Maybe, though. You might be right, Tom. I don't know. No, Vikings Jerome. I'm trying not to even talk about that guy today. Mark DeMoss, we have to prioritize other positions over running back. A great O-line can make a mid-backfield a contender. Nathan McDonald, I just can't wait for this season to start. Missing football so damn much and had to watch the UFL yesterday with my old running back, McFarland Jr. Doug P. Players are a crapshoot, honestly. You never know what you are actually getting. They could look like a diamond and be a lump of coal. Vice versa. Absolutely. I agree, Doug. I don't think he's going to be that good. That's from Mark. Rob Lightfoot. Safety Nick. I never say this guy's name. Manawari is a dream first-round pick for the Steelers. My nightmare that the Ravens draft him. He would be an excellent pickup. If he's there, he wouldn't be somebody you'd probably pass on. But I believe he's a top 15 pick also. I don't see him falling no farther. Maybe 17. That would be at the latest. All right, guys, wave that terrible towel for Miss Pittsburgh and double tap that screen. Hit that like button for us here on Steel City Live. I'm your host, Jason. Let's keep on going. Don't forget, guys, you can get your opportunity to win a signed, authentic TJ Watt game jersey from us here at Mike Drop Sports. It's 99 cents a month. Always will be 99 cents a month. And definitely get yourself one of those. Let's keep going. I'm also, my friend Boone that I coach basketball with, we coach basketball together, gave me, he found all these old all these old programs at a yard sale or flea market. I have them from all over. I have like Chuck Knoll, Franco Harris, guys that have passed away. But I was thinking also, like this one right here got Franco on it. So what I was thinking is also taking some of these old programs and maybe getting some of the older players, perhaps, you know how they're always up at training camp and stuff, and seeing if I can get maybe a guy from maybe one of these years. I got a bunch of them. Maybe I'll run across somebody and getting those signed, and maybe I can use those in the giveaway too. Also, I have some autographed footballs that I might be giving away. Also, I found some other things that might be of interest to give away. I'm going to have, which I already have a bunch, but I'm going to have some more here after training camps and things of that nature. But I'm going to have some signed trading cards that will possibly also raffle off here on Mike Drop Sports for being a member. So things like that you could get. Great memorabilia. I got terrible towels that are signed that we may put into some of our raffles. But I think this football season is going to be really, really fun. If you're a Mike Drop Mafia member, you're going to get a lot of exclusive things. We're going to start back with our members-only shows once we hit that 5,000 subscriber mark. But I believe we're going to do that. They're going to be 15, 20-minute shows, but they're only going to be for Mike Drop Mafia members. So we're going to get that started again also. So things that you can really look out for, guys. Ravens suck. That's from grinding every day. He says Ravens suck. Rob Lightfoot, the perfect tush push guy in the draft, 5'7", round projecting defensive tackle running back. JJ Pegasus, Ole Miss. This guy's 309-pound freak. Hey, man, there's a lot of good ones. A lot of big boys. Tom Ford, if the Steelers miss out on Hampton, they're definitely going to miss out on Genty. I wouldn't mind drafting Ollie Gordon, a third running back from Oklahoma State. Yeah, he would be a good one. He would be definitely a good one too, Tom. Say Mason gets us in the playoffs and actually wins for us. And do we go for a quarterback next year? That's from Doug P. I think the answer is yes. I think the Steelers are going to swing here, guys, every year at some point in the draft until they hit on their next franchise guy. Mason being good and being able to run this franchise at a high level is just a bonus for them at this point. That's just what they're looking at it as. Mason, you may be able to get 2-3 years out of Mason per se. You never know. You have him on a 2-year deal. Maybe you get both seasons out of him. Maybe he takes you to the playoffs both of the years, and maybe you get a playoff win or two out of Mason. So those are things that you could get, guys. All right, guys, first super chat of the night coming in from our friend Claude Bishop. You always have a good show, and I really appreciate it. Thanks, Claude. We appreciate you, and it wouldn't be a good show without you guys, your comments, and all that you do for us here at Mike Drop Sports, because it's nothing without you. So thank you very much, Claude. The super chat is greatly appreciated. Super chats are always open, guys. You can also gift Mike Drop Mafia memberships. If you don't got yours, get it. 99 cents a month, guys. I really want to push those. I don't want to make it too advertising here when we do it because I keep this ad free. I don't play ads on this show, on this live stream. I don't monetize it until after the show is uploaded again. I don't monetize it, so I got to do some of these little things here to handle a little business because we do want to take Mike Drop Sports into that next stratosphere of Pittsburgh Steelers talk, and I believe we're good enough here to do that, and we want to take it that way. So with your help, we can do it. Let's keep going, man. Let's take a chance with Milroe. I think Milroe, guys, let's be honest. Let's talk about Jalen Milroe, and I just won't tell you that I think it's a bad move. I'll give you reasons why. All right. Let's just say this. Jalen Milroe's a phenomenal athlete. Big arm, guys. Big arm. Huge arm. What is the problem with Jalen Milroe? Let's be real about it. It's beyond taking a chance because if you look at the Steelers' situation, he's not a guy that's going to be able to play right away. He's a 2-3 year project guy. That's just the reality of Jalen Milroe. And why do I say he's a 2-3 year project guy at best at the NFL level? It's because of his highly inaccurate ability in the pass game. He is highly inaccurate. And you have no consistency there. And you're not going to be able to bring a guy in like that and throw them in there year one or year two and expect big things out of them. All you're going to get out of him is his athletic ability and his ability to run the football. Great, okay, but that you can't rely on that all the time. You have to have a guy that can be consistent in the pass game, and Jalen Milroe isn't that. You can turn on those Alabama highlight reels of Jalen Milroe. Guys, it's 20, 30 plays chopped up into a little thing that he did well. They're not showing you the 9 passes he threw into the dirt or over someone's head before that one completion. It's not, you got to look at it all, guys. And when you watch these tapes, you just can't look at highlight reels. That don't do it for you. You got to look at full game tape, guys, for exactly what I just said. You're going to see throws all over the place, highly inaccurate, horrible consistency, not enough to be a guy at the NFL level. What are his plus sizes? Phenomenal, freak athlete, huge arm, can run really, really well. But the downfalls are highly inaccurate in the pass game, is going to be a project for at least 2 years in my eyes. Again, stranger shit's happen, guys. But if you're weighing it out and you're somebody betting on it, I think it's a gamble that you can't take, in my eyes, unless you're getting him like in round 5 or 6 or 7. Honestly, guys, that's my real assumption or my real assessment of Jalen Milroe. Seems like a well-rounded guy, real nice, speaks well to the media, doesn't seem to be a headache, none of that stuff. It's just you can't take the chance to have somebody in there that's so highly inaccurate that is really going to throw a wrench into an NFL offense, guys. And I think a lot of NFL teams see that. Again, I look for him to be drafted late. That's where I look for him to be going. And is he worth a chance late? Absolutely. If you can get him late, go ahead. But if you're talking rounds 1, 2, 3, and you take a Jalen Milroe, I think it's a giant mistake of catastrophic significance because the Steelers aren't in a position to wait 2, 3 years for somebody to be good unless you're going to rely on Mason Rudolph. You know what I mean? That's what it is. Here we go. Steelers says, if we trade Pickens, I'm done with Tomlin. I've been done with Tomlin. But here's the thing, guys. You put yourself back in the same situation. Now, how's the draft look? Are you going to get an Ibuke? Are you going to get somebody like that? Maybe then you can let go of a George Pickens to gain some more draft capital. So, it's not going to be tremendously a horrible move. It just depends on what you get in the draft and what kind of return and investment you get for George. Because, guys, if the Steelers aren't all in on 2025, none of us as fans should be mad if they start collecting draft capital for 2026. None of us should be mad about that. None of us should be mad about making picks to secure the trenches because that's how you rebuild a football team. That's how you make sure a football team is going to be good into the future. You do the things that necessarily aren't fun, aren't sexy. That's what you got to do, guys. What's up, Eagles for Life? Thank you, Robert Road. I liked what I saw of Ollie Gordon III in 2023. He was considered a Heisman candidate. The scouts say he has very bad vision and rarely hits the correct hole. He didn't time well either. Tough runner. Yeah, there's flaws to him, no doubt. Would I be disappointed in him? No, I wouldn't be disappointed in bringing him in. It just depends, again, where you get these guys, You got to value each one. What's up, TD? Zach, 1235. Steelers, guess who I like? I guess you like the Steelers. What's up, TD? We did that from Zaw. That's Rob with the emojis. Okay. Zach1235 says, how do you get the Watt jersey? You got to become a Mic Drop Mafia member. That's our membership program, 99 cents a month. You can get that right at the bottom of your screen. You'll see a little cash sign. You can hit that, and it'll ask you, do you want to super chat? Do you want to buy a member? Do you want to gift memberships? That's how you go in there. It's 99 cents a month, guys. You have spent 99 cents on way worse shit than giving yourself a chance to win TJ Watt jerseys that are signed. Give yourself a chance to win signed cards, terrible towels, all types of stuff that is going to be an amazing year to be part of the Mic Drop Mafia membership program. It's going to be probably the best year ever since we started it, and it hasn't been long since we started it. So let's get that going. We were damn near 100, man. So let's get up to 100 paid members. That is a lot for considering our channel size because we're getting going. All right, Nate, see ya. Sorry, my son was leaving. Tom Ford, if Pickens gets traded, do you believe Metcalf will take 14? I think so. If he got traded, I think he would. Sean Hollis says, no chance in us getting Alec Pierce as our third Pierce this year or Roman Wilson actually plays. I think it's hard to tell. I think Roman Wilson will end up being a third or the fourth. I think Calvin Austin has showed a lot of improvement. I think Calvin Austin deserves the opportunity to be that third guy, that slot guy. I think Calvin Austin has shown a lot of real growth, man. Nathan McDonald, going to have to place better in the regular season before we think about getting a playoff win. Playing teams like Buffalo, Ravens, KC in the first game isn't a recipe for success. I agree. I agree. No doubt about it, man. When you go 10-3 like the Steelers did, and then you have a monumental collapse, that's really, really discouraging because when you're 10-3 and you're sitting there with something very favorable in front of you, you're starting to dream of what? Man, maybe we're a 4 seed, Maybe we're a division winner. Maybe we're a 3 seed. I don't know, but you're thinking something more than the wild card game. You're trying to hope for bigger and better things, man. J Mel, I've heard this guy called Tariff is going down. I don't know what. Come on, bro. Mark Malone, he's a bust, dude. It's easy to see. Doug P. Milrow equals Jamarcus Russell can throw it 75 yards, but it lands 10 yards from his receiver. He'll never develop. He's a bust. Rob Lightfoot, inaccurate at short passes. Milrow throws an accurate deep ball. Yeah, he does in the highlight reel. He does, Rob. If that's what you're watching, highlight reels, absolutely. But if you turn the game on and you watch, he's probably going to miss 4 out of those 5 deep balls, it's just the way it is with him, I'm not trying to dog the guy because I think he is a great athlete. NFL quarterback, I don't think. I just think unless you're getting him way down in the draft, man, it's a grave mistake to draft a running back. If you want to draft a running back, somebody that's played the running back position, not moonlighted as a quarterback for Alabama in a system that doesn't require anybody to be truly complex in the pass game. Let's be real honest about it. And I'm not talking just intelligence or anything like that. I'm talking about just being able to be consistent, accurate, and comfortable. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about complexity. How accurate are you? How consistent are you? Can you hit every route on the route tree? He can't do all those things, and that's the problem. Again, Jalen Milrow is not that guy. That's just me. Guys, I could be wrong. He could have a phenomenal NFL career. I could be wrong. We'll see. David Worth, as an Alabama fan, I hope we stay the hell away from Jalen Milrow. And that's an Alabama fan, somebody that watches him, man. That's from David. And David says, I'm an Alabama fan. And he says, stay away from Milrow. Guys, if somebody's watching that team week in and week out and they tell you, stay the hell away from that guy, that's gotta tell you something. Yeah, the Bustin' Fields fans would love him, no doubt about it. Guys, everybody is a monkey see, monkey do in this league. Everybody, including the fan base. Just because somebody can run around and be a running back at the quarterback position and they do good in the regular season, everybody says that's what you should do. Everybody clamors for that. But in reality, they know what wins at the quarterback position, and that's not it. Sugar Ray Robinson Jr., I am from Seattle, and he's very good, but I think the Steelers have the best version of him, and he is a more mature with his beautiful fiance and new team. Yeah, I hope so, Sugar Ray. He's talking about DK Metcalf. Cap 10, I admit I hated watching Milroe at Bama, but he is a lot like Lamar. Good head on his shoulders. Yeah, and what's Lamar get you? Nothing. Lamar collects MVPs for himself, sure, but he ain't never done nothing. So, I mean, if that's what he reminds you of, I mean, that's probably what you're going to get. But I won't insult Lamar Jackson like that because I think Lamar Jackson is far more accurate than Jalen Milroe will ever be and far better in the pass game than Jalen Milroe is. Lamar at least can almost hit every route. You're one of my favorite YouTubers. All respect to you. You inspired me to make. Oh, well, there you go. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Robert Rowe, Gordon a third in the 5th round or later. Yeah, man, that would work for me. Yes, listen to Miss Pittsburgh, guys. Everybody hit the shit out of that like button and also subscribe, man. Well, we got to get back on our journey here. All the fair weather fans are kind of taking a little bit of break now. The Aaron news has settled down a little bit. The fair weather fans that only really pay attention to football when it's football season or it's a big game, things like that. They're kind of out, so we got to bring up our numbers with real diehards, man. I feel like we got a good group of diehards here, though. Roberta Campbell, what's up? The Steelers sign on. Yes, let's talk about that, Robert. Robert brings up a good thing, and I forgot about it. Thank you. The Steelers sign offensive lineman Calvin Anderson for 2 more years. He is a vet backup. Yeah, he did look all right. He looked all right, and I don't hate it. I think it's good to add that depth, no doubt about it. Is he your answer at swing tackle, perhaps? Maybe. Maybe. But I still like guys like Spencer Anderson, things like that. I think it was a good pickup with Calvin Anderson for 2 years. I don't think it's a problem. I think he'll end up being a good one. I think there's still some question marks there along that offensive line, no doubt about it. But I think those will work its way out, and I think this young offensive line is definitely going to develop into a really, really good unit. We'll see, but definitely a good pickup. I don't think the Calvin Anderson pickup either for 2 years. I don't think that messes with any of the compensatory picks or anything like that either, because I'm talking about guys like James Daniels, Dan Moore Jr. I don't think that messes with any of that stuff. Jamal, what's up, man? You talking about Jalen who? Jalen Warren or Jalen Hurts? Jalen Hurts is a beast. What's up, Saquon Barkley fan? You know that shit was exciting for a minute with Fields, LOL, at least it's entertaining. Yeah, some of it is, Jamal. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, some of it is. Definitely, man. You make a good point there. No doubt. Some of it with Fields was exciting, no doubt. And I thought Justin worked his ass off, though. I'm not going to just sit here and say Justin was just a runner, because I thought Justin worked his ass off. I do think that. I think Justin, though, chased that bag, man. He went after that $30 million fully guaranteed, man. That sets him up. And I don't blame the guy. I don't blame him. I didn't think he was the answer anyway. Roberta says, I don't want a Lamar-type quarterback either. I don't either, because it doesn't translate to championships. A Lamar-type quarterback doesn't translate to championships, And, guys, there's been athletic quarterbacks throughout the history of the NFL. Many, several. You look at guys like Randall Cunningham. You look at many guys. It's not just Lamar. There's been many really super athletic guys at the quarterback position. I don't know how many Super Bowls, though, they combined for, And that's what you're looking for. Doug P says, give me a pocket QB with enough legs to extend the play. I don't need that guy who constantly runs when his first pass choice isn't there. Yeah, I agree. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's got to be a guy who can get through his progressions, understands the defense, doesn't panic, doesn't run quickly, a guy that only runs when he has to and uses that athletic ability to be an X factor instead of the only factor. You guys get what I'm saying? Athletic quarterbacks have to use that athleticism to be the X factor not their only factor. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but it can't be their main thing. It's got to be their X factor that they have in their back pocket. That thing that they can pull out that gives you fits, that makes you pull your hair out as a defensive coordinator. You know, you want that guy to be back there, no happy feet, delivering from the pocket, throwing all the routes, understanding the route trees, understanding the concepts, understanding defenses, doing it at a high level. But boy, when things fail, he'll take off on you and be gone. That's what you're looking for. That's the ultimate guy. You could rely on Justin for a first down. Couldn't say the same for Russ Wilson. Yeah, Justin got stuffed though too several times too, Zal. That was so disappointing. I think that was more play selection though than Justin. Rob says I want to join, but no, I appreciate it, bro. Everybody can't. Just make sure you open your gifts, Rob. Sometimes people donate a bunch of membership, so open up your gifts. You can do that also through one of those little buttons down there on the chat, I believe. But you can definitely find it. I can't remember exactly where it is. But you can open up gifts and get gifted a membership. That's how you got to get gifted. You have to have your gifts open. Roberta Campbell, I have a hard time understanding the compensatory picks. Yeah, it's a formula. It's a pain in the ass, Roberta. Honestly, it's just better once all the dust settles and they're all calculated and the league puts out who gets what picks. That's better than when to worry about it. You know, we can speculate where they're going to be in a lot of situations, be close to accurate, but a lot of it has a lot of variables in it, so it's best just to wait. Joe says, have you heard anything about Aaron? Nah, I'm trying not to talk about him today, Joe. Steve Young was Steve Young was actually really damn good as an athletic guy and also a pocket guy. He won a Super Bowl, absolutely. He was a running quarterback that won a Super Bowl. I always forget about him, but he could run really, really well, but he had a fucking rocket arm and he was good. Yeah, I'm done talking about Aaron Rodgers. I almost let it fully slip. I think Kyle McCord could be our Brock Purdy. Yeah, there's always a chance, Rob. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. All right, guys, let's double tap that screen. Let's hit that like button and make sure you become a Mic Drop Mafia member. Super chats are always open. We got to get rolling. Give yourself a chance to win a jersey that's signed, cards, all types of stuff, guys. So definitely going to be a big year here at Mic Drop Sports. We're taking this shit over. If you're not subscribed, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for, guys. Get into that. You need to be rolling with us there. And we definitely are inching toward that 5,000 mark, guys. We're getting there. Oh, excuse me. We're almost there, man. Let me make sure we talked about everything that I wanted to talk about. I think, I've jotted down a couple ideas that I wanted to talk to you guys. I think we covered it all, man. Let's get our viewership up a little bit tomorrow. Spread the word. Make sure you share the show. I always put the show out, guys, about an hour early. So typically, the show link is out there about an hour early. You could click on that and share it to your social medias. That really helps. You can do that real easy. And again, hit that like button early on there. Those things really help contribute to the show. And make sure you turn your notification bell on. That way you don't miss a thing here at Mic Drop Sports. Let's keep going here. Yes, thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. What's up, another wombat? Yeah, we're about done, brother. Good to see you, man. We're about done. Thank you, Miss P. We're just wrapping up here. Waving that terrible towel for Miss P. I was hitting some 100s for Miss P there. But thank you guys. We'll be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on Steel City Live. Hopefully, we'll have some big news pop up for the Pittsburgh Steelers or just any type of news. But we will be cranking. And as always, guys, thank you so very much. So until then, I'm Jason. This is Mike Drop Sports in the show, Steel City Live. Peace, my friends.